supercars. They're furiously fast, chock full of the latest technical advancements, and amazing marvels that live on the absolute razor's edge of engineering.
The story of supercars is humanity's movement at speed.
A supercar can be both a reflection of egos at work and also as a test bed for technology that will eventually find its way into more mainstream cars.
With eye-watering specs, cutting-edge tech, exotic designs, and blistering performance, supercars represent the very best of the automobile. And an advanced test bed for pioneering solutions.
In the old days, and by the old days I mean 10 years ago or further, supercars were an attempt to express the current advanced state of engineering.
The supercar echelon is populated by visionaries. So people that are really passionate about whatever aspect of the machinery, that whether it's engines, whether it's physical design, whether it's winning races. Generally, those are the three tenets that drive supercar creation.
This is the story of mankind's relentless pursuit for speed, the remarkable machines that brave the way, and the amazing evolution of supercar tech. At the dawn of the 1980s, global wealth is rapidly expanding. Ordinary cars are now more accessible than ever before. A booming stock market and rocketing economy help mint an entirely new strata of buyers and launch the supercar genre to stratospheric new heights.
A supercar is unattainable, it's magical, it's this weird and fantastical thing that goes ridiculous speeds and looks absolutely otherworldly. How do you not celebrate that?
During the decade of excess, ridiculous looks and out-of-this-world performance collide to create a series of fresh and inspiring machines. However, it's the advent of computerized tech and a new variant of homologated racing that thrust the machines to their limit.
Really, the development of computerized cars driven by the need to homologate cars for racing. That's what produced the 959 and the 288 GTO and the subsequent F40.
The 80s are a decade of audacious dreams that sees the supercar morph from a merely advanced machine into a flat-out technical wonderkind. It takes a unique vision and quite a bit of passion to bring them to life.
Without that passion, nobody's going to spend that kind of money to just create the engineering and the sheer design will that it takes to craft something that unique.
The 80s proved to be an extremely productive and groundbreaking period of supercar science. And no machine sets the stage quite as profoundly as the humble 1980 Audi Quattro. It's not a supercar, but its tech is crucial for the genre's evolution.
When we introduced the Audi Quattro at the Geneva Auto Fair in March 1980, this was a car nobody had ever expected from Audi.
They introduced an all-wheel drive car way before everybody else.
When the Quattro breaks cover, it changes everything. The machine's four-wheel drive system revolutionizes rally car racing.
Audi made a name for itself because its claim to fame was Quattro.
During the decade, Audi wins 4 world titles for one very simple reason. Their cars can get more power to the ground than anyone else's.
The Audi Quattro was a combination of this turbo engine with a four-wheel drive, a permanent positive four-wheel drive.
Remarkably, the Quattro system is born thanks to a humble Volkswagen off-roader. In the winter of 1976, Audi engineers are cold weather testing in Sweden when they see a VW Iltis conquering everything in its path. The humble off-road vehicle is powered by a meager 75 horsepower engine, yet its all-wheel drive system allows it to run circles around Audi's newest machines. Seeing the all-terrain machines succeed where their vehicles fail gives engineers an idea. They decide to harness the all-wheel tech, upgrade it with a hollow secondary shaft, which allows power to go 2 directions inside the transmission, and put it into their own road-going car. Then, to demonstrate the benefits, Audi decides to go rally car racing, and a legend is born.
In the 1980s, the Audi Quattro race car, the Quattro, came in and absolutely destroyed rally racing. It completely changed the game with its all-wheel drive system.
The 4-wheel drive machine quickly revolutionizes rally car racing.
There's all these 2-wheel drive cars, and then the Quattro came along with its 4-wheel drive and just obliterated everything in sight.
All-wheel drive and 4-wheel drive sound similar, but they're actually different bits of tech. 4-wheel drive is a part-time system that sends equal power to each wheel, and it's typically intended for off-road use. The brilliance of the Audi Quattro's all-wheel drive system is that it's always on and optimized for the road. A computer seamlessly determines which of the 4 wheels need power and traction.
Audi magic has really come down to design and technology.
All-wheel drive, of course, means that all 4 wheels turn. You can implement that all-wheel drive in very different ways. And
Quattro is one of the first broadly available all-wheel drive systems. It uses this cool, like, front-to-back and side-to-side technology where it's this always-on all-wheel drive system.
The Quattro is the first production car to combine permanent all-wheel drive with a turbocharged engine.
And Audi was the first company to design a gearbox with an integrated differential for the differences between front and rear axle when you go on corners.
They are just phenomenal cars in terms of handling and road holding. And with that turbo 5-cylinder engine, bags of fun as well.
The Quattro system is a harbinger for what will come next. Its introduction is massively important for all future supercars because the basic philosophy is the key to transferring mega-high horsepower engine output to the ground.
Audi showed people that all-wheel drive is awesome for performance.
The car had a large influence on Audi because today we are over 60% of 4-wheel driven cars and in the production figures. And it had an influence on the complete automotive industry because, like today with electric drive, every company started building 4x4s.
While Audi radically revolutionizes power delivery, their longtime German rival BMW attempts to change their image thanks to an inspired new machine called the M1.
The M1 is a first in many aspects for the BMW brand. It was the first supercar for BMW.
The M1 was sort of a showcase of all the technology and engineering that BMW had in the late 70s, early 80s.
The M1 is BMW's first mid-engine sports car and features a 273 horsepower, 3.5-liter 6-cylinder motor that powers the machine to a 260 km/h top speed.
It had BMW's most powerful engine in it at the time.
That glorious double overhead cam, straight 6 engine, really, really successful car.
The performance wouldn't seem that, earth-shattering today. At the time, it really was.
BMW originates the M1 as an expression of automotive art. The M badge designates the brand's most meaningful engineering projects, and the 1 signifies its importance. The vehicle's body is an aerodynamically efficient envelope wrapped around some serious velocity-generating hardware, yet only 430 examples are ever made.
They drive really well. I was shocked the first time I drove a BMW M1. Yeah, very capable car.
It sort of set the high water mark for BMW in the early 80s and sort of elevated the brand from a brand of just sedans into a brand that could perhaps build a supercar.
Across the English Channel, an entirely different take on the supercar is being explored. Inside the halls of Aston Martin, engineers conceive of a new machine called the V8 Vantage.
So you have your sort of standard Aston Martin, if anything can ever be called that from their production run. And the Vantage has always been the creme de la creme.
At the time of its introduction, the V8 Vantage is the fastest road-going Aston ever produced.
The original Vantage absolutely was a beast.
The 375 horsepower engine helps the machine blaze a new trail for the storied English automaker. It hits a healthy 170 mph top speed.
Whenever anybody says Aston Martin Vantage, you know immediately it's going to be something really, really super special.
Being special is a crucial element of supercar DNA. A machine has to have a hefty price, be utterly rare, feature out-of-this-world design, and of course, showcase epic performance.
If you've ever been in a very fast vehicle, there is something that happens to you physically that is hard to describe to someone who's never had that experience. It is a visceral, almost lizard brain kind of experience. It's almost like an adrenaline hit. There's a sort of addictiveness to it. Once you've had that little taste, it's easy enough to understand how people just want to go faster and faster to the limits of human capacity.
Chasing high performance at the very limit is an addictive drug that car constructors have pursued since the dawn of the automobile itself. Yet by the mid-1980s, there's one mark that's about to rewrite the rules of speed and forever alter the supercar landscape. And it's called Ferrari. They combine speed, handling, and unique design, while also representing the pinnacle of automotive art, the supercar.
In the supercar space, being different is part of the elemental key that makes it a supercar.
Throughout the 80s, as car tech evolves, enthusiasts increasingly debate what constitutes a supercar.
Identifying a supercar is interesting because some of the very compromises that you make to extract the best performance create the outrageous styling. It's kind of out of necessity that the car looks like that.
While classifying a supercar is often subjective, their technical prowess is awe-inspiring and undeniable. During the decade, one brand in particular takes the lead, introducing a trifecta of machines that will alter our perception of speed. Ferrari.
Ferrari is everything that a kid thinks a sports car should be.
Ferrari is synonymous with racing because that's really where they got their start.
Ferrari first finds fame in racing. Yet by the 1980s, their road-going cars are every bit as good and lustworthy as their Formula One machines. In 1984, they debut a masterpiece of tech, the 288 GTO.
The 288 GTO was the answer to a question raised by racing. It was meant to be a homologated version of the Ferrari 308 for Group B competition. The problem was that by the time the car got produced, Group B had been ended because it proved to be so deadly and was killing drivers left and right.
The end of Group B racing results in one of the greatest supercars of all time. The GTO, that stands for Gran Turismo Omologato, and offers drivers massive firepower under the hood that's wrapped in a scintillating bit of bodywork.
It took everything that Ferrari had from a technical standpoint to produce the car. They were technological moonshots.
Fast, beautiful, and charismatic, the 288 is built with little concern for time or money.
It really harnessed everything that Ferrari knew about making horsepower, turbocharged horsepower specifically.
The 288, when the turbos kicked in, hang on, it's gone.
The GTO's magic ingredient is the combination of 400 brake horsepower keyed to a 1,200 kilo curb weight.
It was you and the machine and the road, and that was it. You didn't get a lot of help. For that reason, it was a very rewarding car to drive, because not only could you show off the capability of the car, you could show off your capability as a driver.
The 288 is a homologated special built for a series that never exists. Yet its importance can't be overstated. The machine marks a transcendent turning point for Ferrari and the beginning of the marque's quest to create small batch, range-topping mega machines.
The problem is that the war ended before they showed up. Instead, they sold their homologation cars to customers, and it's come to be recognized as this icon of a certain moment in time when turbocharging was just coming onto the scene, and you had these hugely powerful cars being raced on the road for the last time.
While the 288 GTO never fulfilled its promise as a race car due to the Group B Series demise, it does stand as a testament to Ferrari's grasp of cutting-edge tech at the time.
When Group B ended, that was really the end of almost unlimited speed and horsepower for road racing.
While the 288 represents Ferrari's high-performance zenith at the time, it's not the only mouth-watering supercar to come from Maranello during the decade. In 1984, they debuted the Testarossa.
So they came out with the Testarossa. It exemplifies that era better than anything else.
The Ferrari Testarossa from the 80s is a very dramatic car from a styling standpoint.
The Testarossa is perhaps the most defining automotive contribution to the cultural collage of the 80s. It's all about image and is the poster car for a generation, which helps it become the best-selling V12 Ferrari by a wide margin.
It really broke the mold with the side stripes, the wide haunches, a very dramatic car that just says Ferrari. It says the ultimate in high performance.
Adored for its dramatic width and introducing side-mounted radiators with visible strakes, Ferrari truly ups its game with the Testarossa.
That gigantic front, that flat hood, and those slits on the side to see it going by you, and that incredibly wide rear end. It said boxer engine all the way. This engine is so big. We need to make the car that wide just so we can fit it in there.
The machine utilizes electronic fuel injection and 4-valve cylinder heads that help liberate 385 horsepower.
What's interesting about supercars is that, I would say beginning with the Ferrari Testarossa, they started to get bigger. And that's because the difference between a supercar and a race car was becoming more pronounced. When they were paying the kind of money that you were paying for a Testarossa, they didn't want a little car. No longer was a Ferrari the little scalpel that it was in the 50s. By the 1980s, Ferrari had become a machete.
By the mid-80s, Ferrari is firing on all cylinders and producing landmark machines. However, in the supercar space, it doesn't take long for the hunter to become the hunted. Supercars are an amazing combination of heady engineering, hardcore science, and nearly mythical high-performance art. Yet by the mid-1980s, the truly hallowed examples all seem to be coming from Italy. However, just a few countries north, engineers are about to deploy a transcendent machine that will up the ante once more.
Germans are focused and very disciplined in the work they do. And when it comes to engineering, those are advantages.
After watching Italy dominate the early part of the decade, German engineers decide it's time to fight back.
They also have a function over form philosophy. Their cars might go toe-to-toe with Lamborghini, but they're not going to have crazy wings or an unusable interior.
The Germans put more of a focus on good driving dynamics. We're gonna make it just this like tight, precise, really nicely engineered car that's great at high speeds on an Autobahn, but it's also super fun when you're throwing it around on a back road.
The Porsche 959 breaks all the supercar rules. When it's introduced, it sits at the forefront of high-performance technology. More importantly, it's the first supercar of the computer age.
When the 959 came out, it just kind of rocked the world because it was unlike anything Porsche had done before.
Porsche's supercar transforms the venerable 911 into a four-wheel drive pioneer that tosses out convention and, in its wake, uses every technical advancement available in a single superb machine.
By the 80s, Porsche was a few decades old. They had come into their own, they had become respected, and not only had they been able to attract customers, they had been able to attract the best engineering talent. And they certainly put that engineering talent to work on the 959. It's a car that embodied every possible mechanical innovation.
The 959 is an Autobahn stormer and an engineering tour de force that's 100% emblematic of the decade's push for the best of everything. Yet it's born for the exact same reason that Ferrari creates the 288 GTO, to go Group B racing. And just like Ferrari, when the series is canceled, the marque has to pivot to recoup their investment.
Porsche wanted to go racing in Group B rallying, which was the highest echelon of rallying at the time, the fastest rally cars. And so they developed this four-wheel drive, ostensibly 911-based supercar to go rally racing.
Porsche did it because they had the engineering capability at their fingertips. They had all this practice. They had people who said, you know what, we're pretty proud of this. You know, we've got a name to uphold, so let's uphold it. The world will know we made something very special.
Remarkably, the 959 uses 7 onboard computers at a time when most cars have 0. It also harnesses the power of its twin turbos to crank out 450 horsepower on its way to a 197-mile-per-hour top speed.
The 959 is everything Porsche thought would be relevant for the next 20 years. And it turned out to be kind of true. All-wheel drive, twin-turbo engine, over 400 horsepower, active suspension. Everything on the car was what was going to come in the next decade, what was going to come in the next 20 years. And, you know, all of that happened.
It wasn't a fragile, temperamental machine. It was a well-developed supercar that was packed with technology that was revolutionary for its time.
It introduced all this technology that we sort of take for granted, but at the time, putting it all in one place was kind of an amazing thing.
The machine's research and development costs are so exorbitant that it's believed that Porsche actually loses 200,000 pounds on every model it sells.
Everything on the 959 was way ahead of its time, 10 to 20 years ahead of its time. I mean, you had tire pressure monitoring. You had hollow spoke wheels, 2 turbochargers on a small flat 6, over 400 horsepower, all-wheel drive, 6-speed transmission, active dampers. Everything on the car is things we take for granted today, but in the mid-'80s, you know, this was from another planet.
The 959 is armed with computer-controlled suspension with adjustable ride height, run-flat tires with an air pressure monitoring system, anti-lock brakes, and magnesium wheels.
They said, you know what? We're going to embody every possible mechanical innovation we can think of, and we're going to do it right, and we're going to do it out of the gate, and it's still going to be a Porsche.
The Germans decide to enter the supercar race from a decidedly different philosophical point of view. Instead of building race cars for the road, they aim to create fast but comfortable everyday driving machines.
In the 70s, you know, computers were used to some degree, but not like they were in the 80s and 90s. And that allowed engineers to build things faster, better, and to a higher standard. And so development shrunk. They could do more in less time. And that sort of gave birth to all these incredible modern supercars.
Good supercars stand the test of time. Great ones predict the future so accurately that their excess eventually ceases to seem excessive. When the Porsche 959 launches, it seems utterly exotic. Yet decades later, its tech is now commonplace in ordinary cars.
You have the addition of sort of the technology aspect. The idea that computers can make faster decisions than we can. They can sense the road better. They can make quicker, minor changes to torque and apply brakes in a way that human capability cannot.
The 959's level of computerized sophistication is unmatched. Much of its tech will ultimately trickle down to ordinary automobiles.
A lot of technology that was pioneered in a supercar is now under the hood of just the most mainstream sedan today.
That innovation at that high end that does eventually make its way down into the cars that you and I drive.
I think the credit for the fast development and the incredible leap in supercar technology came from computers.
Ultimately, the 959 uses technology to allow any driver to get in and manipulate the machine comfortably at high speed. A remarkable combination of speed and civility. Yet for all its glory, there's still one magical milestone left unbroken. The 200 miles per hour barrier. Supercars are unimaginably fast, incredibly stunning to look at, and a unique bit of kit that merges both form and function into one sporty machine.
You know, a sports car, classically a sports car was a toy. It was something you drove just to have fun. It was something that existed just to be exciting.
What originally starts as a plaything for the rich at the dawn of the automotive age transforms into a cutting-edge, high-performance testbed by the late 1980s.
There is a trickle-down effect because they can prove out new approaches, new technology that could maybe later be applied to real-world cars, you might say.
Engineers across the globe begin applying new ideas and emerging tech to the advancement of the supercar. Yet one major milestone remains unbroken. The quest to see who can crack the 200 mile per hour barrier first.
I mean, 200 miles an hour is not slow, and it takes a lot of work to get a car to hit 200 miles an hour.
As far as automotive technology has come and as fast as modern cars are, breaking 200 miles an hour is still a big deal. There's not very many cars in the world that can do that.
200 miles per hour sounds easy to achieve, yet hitting it is actually incredibly difficult to do. Because at those rarefied speeds, drag increases exponentially.
Wind resistance exponentially increases the faster you go. It's like the Richter scale for earthquakes. A 6 is way more violent than a 4. Same thing, there's the laws of physics. With a car, you need more and more and more power for each mile per hour increment. And to get to 200 takes a lot of power.
Nearing the double-ton power-weight ratios mean next to nothing. It's all about aerodynamics and horsepower. In order to hit 200 miles per hour velocity, engineers must find 8 times the power needed to hit 100 miles per hour.
You can do 150 to 180 pretty easily. You don't have to make too many modifications to do something like that, but once you get above 200, it's harder and harder and harder. The gap between each mile an hour you can actually hit gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
For decades, cracking the mythical 200 mile per hour barrier in a road racing car is thought to be next to impossible. Yet after Porsche throws the gauntlet down with the 959, Ferrari decides to push the supercar genre to new heights.
The F40 really upped the ante in terms of performance, brought turbocharging to the forefront.
The Ferrari F40 was the final manifestation of Enzo Ferrari's vision of a car.
No machine encapsulates the decade of decadence better than the Ferrari F40. The stripped-down celebration of all things Maranello is a seminal machine that becomes known as the ideal raw supercar.
The Ferrari F40 was this technological tour de force, twin-turbo, 2.9-liter V8, over 400 horsepower, which was, a ton at the time. It has a Kevlar and carbon fiber body. Years before people were thinking about doing that.
It's this icon of what Ferrari can do. Here's everything that we can do in terms of engineering, and here is this supercar at a time when supercars aren't really a thing.
While Porsche's 959 rival is a completely computer-driven tour de force, the F40 approaches the problem from the diametrically opposite end of the spectrum.
The Ferrari F40, it was completely different looking than any other Ferrari. It was built to celebrate Enzo Ferrari's 40th year in business. And what better way to do it?
He decreed that this car should be made as close to pure racing on the street as possible. It had no driver aids, no traction control, and the driver had to manage this car completely.
The F40 was the last car designed under Enzo Ferrari's personal guidance, and it betrays everything that made a Ferrari, everything that he wanted to imbue in a Ferrari, everything that he wanted a Ferrari to be.
Developed from the outset to be driven fast and to take back the supercar crown, the F40 becomes one of the decade's most significant machines when it does the unthinkable and cracks the 200-mile-per-hour barrier.
The F40 is the first car that brings racing technology to the road in a direct, visceral sense that anybody can see. It's unmistakable.
That racing heritage helps the Ferrari F40 become the definitive poster car for the era. Yet it's the machine's engine mounted in the middle of the car that becomes evocative. The 2.9-liter twin-turbocharged V8 produces 471 horsepower.
The F40 was a moment in time when turbocharging was relatively new. It was being used in Formula One. People thought it was the future of the internal combustion engine. And so to a certain extent, it represented Ferrari's statement about what the future of speed would look like.
Originally, Ferrari intends to build just 400 examples. However, clients clamor for more, and ultimately the factory relents, producing just over 1,300 machines.
All of that technology was suddenly available in a road-going car, a very limited production road-going car. And that limited production helped it to achieve supercar status. Part of being a supercar is not just looking better or performing better, it was being more exclusive. And Ferrari F40 certainly did that. And right out of the gate,
engineers are obsessed with keeping the F40 light. They use every trick in their arsenal, ranging from state-of-the-art materials to limiting the amount of paint used on the car. Yet it's the lack of driver aids that truly shaves weight and helps make the F40 such a celebrated machine.
that car in the right hands was every bit a race car that a Ferrari had been 10 years ago.
An analog car, not a computer-driven car. It depended upon the driver. The driver was the computer.
It was a fire-breathing, hard-running, fast, fierce car, just like Enzo Ferrari was personally. He was a lion, and his car was the automotive equivalent of what he was.
The F40 sees extensive use of carbon fiber and Kevlar to shave away mass. The chassis is a steel tubular frame that offers immense rigidity whilst being extremely lightweight. And more importantly, the F40 is one of the very first supercars to employ a fully carbon fiber body shell.
Most historians think, and I tend to agree, that the Ferrari F40 was a complete departure from other Ferraris leading up to it. It was a car that was brutally fast.
The F40, I think, is the ultimate development of the unassisted car. The driver has to do everything. The car will do nothing for you. Following that, other things came into play, particularly traction control and selective braking and so forth, things that will assist the driver. You can drive a new supercar very aggressively and not get in trouble. They will manage the driver. The F40, the driver did all the managing. It was totally up to the driver.
The F40 is ferociously fast and reaffirms Ferrari's grip on the supercar space. Yet the decision to build it comes down to just one man, company founder Enzo Ferrari.
The thing about these visionaries is that they had something in their personalities that allowed them to look at the masses and say, I'm gonna play a different game. I'm gonna go and do something else. They start with a seed of an idea that there's a better way to get there. There's a better, faster, more efficient, more creative, more beautiful way to get from point A to point B. And I think that's what makes some of these stories so interesting.
Smarting because the Porsche 959 garners so much acclaim, Enzo is determined to build an even better flagship machine. The resulting mid-engine rear-drive road racer achieves its astonishing performance through the time-honored combination of a hefty dose of horsepower and minimal weight, helping to make the machine one of the most hallowed supercars of all time.
The F40 represents that era of really fewer rules, more creative thinking, fewer boundaries, and it's a wonderful statement about that period, and it's why they're so valuable today.
It's a very significant car for that very reason. It's the ultimate manifestation of a driver-centric performance car.
While the Ferrari F40 becomes the standard bearer for high-performance machines, it doesn't hold the top spot for outright speed for very long. Just a few years later, a small boutique auto tuner introduces their very first serialized production machine, the Ruf Porsche CTR.
Ruf was an engineering company. They would take Porsches and re-engineer them. And nothing was sacred. Do the suspension, do the interior, shave off the weight, give it the most powerful engine, turbocharge it. In essence, Ruf was saying, Porsche, if you're not going to do it, we're going to do it.
Ruf reimagines the Porsche 911 Carrera 3.2 and equips it with a hopped-up twin-turbo engine, upgraded suspension, lighter body materials, and a custom 5-speed transmission.
Ruf was like the modern-day version of the backyard hot rodder in the early 50s and 60s. They were taking these aftermarket components, mixing and matching them to get just the right balance of acceleration and handling and cornering and top speed capability.
At the time, Ruf is far from a household name, and the machine sneaks onto the scene with minimal fanfare. Little does anyone know what will happen next.
I'm personally more surprised when something unexpected comes from a mark or a company that doesn't really play in that supercar space. Whether they purchased the technology, whether they created it in-house, the thing that draws my attention typically is the fact that here's this company that I had this perception about that's created something that's totally off the wall and totally out of left field that they technically have no right to be building, but it's awesome and amazing, and kudos to them for that.
In 1987, Ruf obtains legendary status thanks to a magazine comparison test, where it hits an astonishing 211 miles per hour and earns the nickname Yellowbird.
What helped solidify Ruf as an important maker of components and aftermarket tuning was a car called the Yellowbird. This is a car that the Road and Track editors said, let's put it on the track with these other supercars. Let's see what it can do. Maybe it'll outpace a couple of them, but we're not expecting much. It blew the doors off the competition. It outran every other car.
The Roof Yellowbird puts the world on notice that boutique constructors can compete in the supercar arena. A message that's heard loud and clear on the west coast of the United States, where a small volume bespoke manufacturer bursts onto the scene with an audacious dream and an outrageous design. The Vector W8.
It was a very significant car and one of the most sought-after collector cars today, without a doubt.
Hailed by many as the first modern American supercar, the Vector W8 is a seldom discussed machine born right in Los Angeles. Like the Hollywood stars that call the area home, the W8's intention is to turn heads and shock the world.
It was one of the original supercars.
The machine features a turbocharged 6-liter V8 engine that's bolted directly to a 3-speed automatic gearbox. The result is a claimed top speed of 242 miles per hour. Just 17 machines are built before the mark goes bankrupt. However, the heady top speed accomplishment remains a daring example of what a small car maker can accomplish.
Eventually, supercars were getting to the point where the technology didn't advance by leaps and bounds. It had started to advance incrementally.
As the 80s come to a close, the term supercar is liberally applied to an expansive list of machines. Some merit the designation, while others do not. Yet by and large, they all require an owner to be willing to put up with their temperamental nature. That all changes in 1990, thanks to a machine from a different shore, the Honda NSX.
The original NSX was the game changer, and that was really, truly the first of the everyday supercars.
And then, of course, there was the NSX, which kind of turned the tables on what to expect from a supercar. All of a sudden, you had a supercar that you could drive every day, or drive 200,000 miles and not take out the engine to change the timing belt.
The NSX is built by Honda, yet badged as an Acura in the North American market. Right from the start, it's designed and engineered to defeat Ferrari at its own game.
The Acura NSX was the first comfortable and comfortably affordable supercar.
It was a car that was incredibly powerful, great to drive, looked cool, mid-engine layout, all of that. But you could also, just drive it in traffic. It was quiet, it was comfortable, it was easy, it was nice, and it wasn't insanely expensive.
The NSX offers a unique blend of high performance and civility. Drivers no longer need to worry if the machine will start in the morning or make them feel knackered at the end of a sporty excursion.
When the Acura NSX came out, the motoring public almost didn't believe it. They said, what is Acura doing making a car like this? I mean, they're a luxury manufacturer. I have a 4-door sedan with marvelous air conditioning and wonderfully plush leather, and here they come out with this? It doesn't seem very Acura-like.
Track tested by legendary Formula One champion Arian Senna, the NSX is built to offer Ferrari performance with daily driving reliability at a reasonably affordable price point. An unheard-of combination that radically realigns the supercar space.
One of the things the NSX has going for it is Honda/Acura reliability and quality. But as good as that seems, supercars and hypercars, they almost need to be impossible. They almost need to be temperamental. It's like you're engineering the soul out of a vehicle if you make it too civilized.
The NSX is a convention-challenging machine in more ways than one. It features a 3-liter V6 with variable valve timing that makes just 270 horsepower.
The NSX was truly the idea that a supercar could be driven by you, and you could drive it every day. It wasn't just this crazy thing that had to live in the garage of your private house on some island. It was, you can drive an NSX every day. You really could.
Innovative in both design and construction, the NSX is the first production car that pairs an aluminum monocoque with cutting-edge materials like titanium. The result is an extraordinarily low curb weight that rings the register just over 1,300 kilos.
What Acura was doing with the NSX is what BMW did with the M1. They took everything they knew about how to make a civilized car and everything that anybody had ever learned about how to make a performance car, how to make a performance car package, and embody those things in the same vehicle.
The NSX alters the supercar landscape by changing the perception of what it's like to live with a fire-breathing, high-performance machine. It's just one more way that supercars are changing.
There's so much to performance and great driving dynamics and all that that is so technology-focused now. The way to beat everyone else is to just make little tiny improvements. We're gonna be faster, we're gonna have more power, or grip, or we're gonna have a faster lap time around this track.
For nearly the entirety of the automobile's existence, up to this point, the 200-mile-per-hour barrier seems unassailable in a production car built for the street. Yet by the end of the 80s, car constructors are regularly doing the impossible and cracking the mythical double time.
To have a car that you can park in your driveway that goes 200 miles per hour, that's saying a lot. That's quite a statement. Ferrari was the first there, and they got the publicity from it.
Breaking the 200-mile-per-hour barrier is a major step in the evolution of the supercar and the science behind it. While engineers enter a new technological age, the massive achievement comes with the realization that the future holds even greater challenges.
Think about what the definition of a supercar used to be, right? Thinking in the 80s, when everyone had to have a Testarossa or a Countach. They were hard to get in and out of. You couldn't see anything out of them. They were loud and uncomfortable, and the interiors weren't great. But they made beautiful noises, and they were really fast, and they looked amazing.
The weird thing about breaking speed barriers is that there's no reference point. We go 400 miles an hour in jets, right? We fly across the country or we fly around the world, but we don't have a physical reference point. You don't feel the effects of that speed on your body. And until you do experience that, you don't really have a concept of what kind of technological and physical barriers you've broken.
By the end of the 1980s, supercars are a household term globally. Otherworldly machines that look like spaceships and perform like aircraft, but on the road. These remarkable engineering exercises take flight in our imagination, yet also help transform ordinary cars for everyday driving. And the best is yet to come.